Hello, hello, and a good Monday morning to you, my frabjous fractal butterfly cakes of unrelenting joy. It is I, Hallie, with today's weekly reading book review. Do not know what week of September this is. I'm going to guess this is our third episode, but it could be our second. No idea. You'll find out in the caption. Anyway, as you may have seen, I took a very colorful, inspiring road trip this past week. That will be a different video and or blog post, etc. Stay tuned for that. My trip to Crayola and the Highlights Foundation in Pennsylvania. Yay! See, new mug. Love it. Crayola. Okay, so here are the books I read this week and the 3 books I'm in the middle of and a couple of books I hope to read next, but also on my way to another adventure. So we got lots to do, and if I hiccup, pardon me, just a little nervous about getting my world in order after a wonderful journey. So coffee cheers to you. Let us talk about books and stories, shall we? The first book I finished this week was Val McDermid's Queen M. This is a prequel to Shakespeare's Scottish play, based more on actual Scottish history than, again, Shakespeare's Scottish play. It's very thin. It was so well written, kind of obsessed. She was married to somebody else, but fell in love with Mackers, and it was wonderful. So thoroughly enjoyed this. My friend Sarah gave it to me for a birthday present, and I'm so glad I read it this week. I loved it. So this is grown-up fiction. Nothing too scandalous, but there's some kissing, and so well done. Whether you like Scotland, Shakespeare, neither. It was beautiful. So, yay! Okay, I did also Shakespeare adjacent because I just can't help myself. Finally read Henry VI, Part 2, and we'll be doing a quote for that at some point, hopefully soonish. And then brain spiraling, I read a graphic novel, again, Shakespeare adjacent. No faults of my own, except for it's just who I am. So this is brand new. This is This Place Kills Me. This is YA, stunning graphic novel, nice limited color scheme. A girl is found dead in the woods after a production of Romeo and Juliet at a girls-only boarding school, high school. Mystery, emotions, intrigue, secrets, etc. So again, This Place Kills Me, and it is by Mariko Tamaki and illustrated by Nicole goux. Not sure how to say that, sorry. Yeah, that was great. Again, not very heavy on the Shakespeare aside from the death happens right after the play of Romeo and Juliet. Juliet's found dead. Scandal. Okay, started reading, but got distracted because other things, and it was heavy, and my brain was trying to focus on all the other things that happened this week at Highlights and Learning. This is A Grammar of Fantasy by Gianni Rodari. No sprechen the Italian, sorry. Illustrated by Matthew Forsythe, who you may have seen recently, new picture book obsession, Aggie and the Ghost. So illustrated by him. This is nonfiction, translated by Jack Zipes, who, if you're a fairy tale nerd, you know who that is. He does a lot of fairy tale history, folklore, all of that. Anyway, The Grammar of Fantasy, translated from the Italian, illustrated by Matthew Forsythe, and beautiful. It is really interesting. A lot of great writing prompts for the classroom, for yourself as an author, etc. Nice short little chapters, and again, just pretty to look at, and enjoying that nonfiction. I didn't know if it was going to be able to go fairy tales, etc., but it's a lot of fun. So love that. Okay, was also currently reading, and I'm loving, just had to pick up something else for reasons I will tell you shortly. So currently reading Bring the House Down. Yeah, I was trying to read it backwards. I'm like, that's what makes sense, but I don't know. Charlotte Runcie. I bought this on, or in celebration of, not on the actual day, doesn't matter, Indie Bookstore Day. This is so good. It happens during the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. There's a theater critic and a arts critic, and they're sharing a flat, and he kind of writes a scathing review, the guy. It's told from the perspective of the arts writer, the woman, and the guy she's boarding with from the same paper, scathing review of a one-woman show, but he picks her up in a bar, spends the night with her, and then she wakes up in the morning, reads a review, and like, that's you? And she changes her entire show for taking him down, and now it's a big deal at the Fringe Fest. And so I don't know what's about to happen. I'm a third of the way through, but it's so much fun. Again, this is adult fiction, theater, Scotland, Edinburgh adjacent, and newspaper reporters, which you don't read about a lot these days. So enjoying that. So much fun. Okay, again, here's what I'm currently reading and loving. Again, I don't know how many times I've read this book, but the 1-year anniversary of my book club that I lead in Minister, I don't know, whatever. It's in the book club. I love it. Different story. I'm having them read middle grade. So here's our boarding school book pick of the month, Nevermore, The Trial of Morrigan Crow. I love it. Again, it's middle grade, coming out in 2017. The 4th one just came out. Haven't read it yet, that I'm glad to be diving back into that world. So started this last night. I'm already 1/4 of the way through. Can totally finish that by Wednesday night and come up with discussion questions, right? So loving this. If you haven't read it, I love it. I love it. And I guess we will be dissecting why on Wednesday night if I figure it out again. Okay, reading perhaps next amongst my later in the week travels and a whole lot of work I got to do before then. The Last Resort, Erin and Entrada Kelly. This is her brand new one that debuted on the New York Times bestseller and indie bestseller list, of course. And she was one of my teacher highlights this week, and I love her, and she drew my little ghost boo and signed that for me on the day she hit the list. So now that I am no longer staying near a haunted farmhouse and cabin at Highlights, I will be reading this happy, spooky, interactive ghost story from Erin and Entrada Kelly and Scholastic. So super excited about that. Look how shiny. Sorry, I can't stop shining that in the light. I love it. Looking forward to that. And my other teacher at Highlights was the lovely, wondrous, very wise, equally wise, Laurel Snyder. She just came out with this. This is Endlessly Ever After, illustrated by the one and only Dan Santat. And this is a choose your own adventure fairy tale book. So one of the things I love are people who break the rules. And I believe she said this is a 4,000 word picture book. But it's not like you have to read 4,000 words. It's because the ending's going to change. Because again, choose your own fairy tale adventure with pictures by Dan. Hello. So also, shiny. Love it. So this is on the TBR multiple times list this week. And again, thank you to Erin and Laurel for all of that. And that, again, like I said, will be a different blog post. And of course I came home to more book mail. And of course I came home with some mentor text to study for my own middle grade writing. And I haven't even unwrapped this, but this is from The Mysterious Galaxy. And I will show an unwrapping so you don't have to watch me do that awkwardly in my stories shortly. But look how pretty they wrapped it. So I'm excited about this. And to give you a hint, deadly serious about our reading from The Mysterious Galaxy staff. So perhaps you know what autographed, personalized book this is. So me and my second pot of coffee that's about to start brewing are going to go have a lovely day in the studio. And I can't wait to hear what stories you've been reading, loving, enjoying for my, 14 plus hour road trip each way to Pennsylvania. I listen to a lot of old Haunted Road podcast episodes. So I'm definitely in the ghost story mood during daylight hours. So I should have shown you too. There's a new illustrated book I got. I don't know if I've shown you yet. It's called Haunted USA and it's beautiful. I'll show that in my stories shortly as well and link it below and on my blog when I post this as always. So, okay, I gotta go. I love you. Talk at you later. Happy storying. Bye.